Shalom, y'all! I am Amy Pernack, and my beautiful 15-year-old daughter made this really cool set for me. She's really wanting us to work on educating those around us in the knowledge of essential oils and natural living. And we already do a lot of that on my channel, and have plans for more of that. But we're just going to take a little bit of time today and do just like a basic educational time learning about natural solutions and how to use essential oils and integrate them into your daily regimen, or using them more for like acute, I don't know if I can say illness, but acute illness, and how our family uses them specifically to help during times of when we have colds and flus and that kind of thing. And as a matter of fact, if you can't hear, hopefully I won't be coughing during this video, but I'm getting over this cough that's been going around. It started with my daughter and has kind of spread throughout the family. So this is kind of top of mind right now, how we use essential oils, and so I want to teach you today and just give a very basic approach and give you a basic understanding, if you don't know already, how essential oils work, why they work the way they work, and why we have chosen to go down that road. So come along and join me as we spend a few minutes learning about essential oils. Okay, so essential oils have been around for thousands of years. As a matter of fact, I love to go back to an Ezekiel passage. It's actually on my business card. Ezekiel, let's look here, 47:12. I couldn't remember the reference. It talks about the Lord giving us plants for our healing. And I truly believe the Lord has given us everything we need here on earth to keep us healthy and strong. The modern approach, and what I grew up in, is called the allopathic approach. That's been going on for about 120 years or so. It started in earnest back in the 1900s, and like early 1900s. Up until the early 1900s, most medicine was actually natural. It was all naturally based. They had hospitals, they had colleges all around the natural approach to health and healing. And then in the early 1900s, we had an influx of those who had a lot of money and were looking to make money. Not that making money is bad, but these people, some of the big names of the founding families of our country, decided that the natural approach to health was actually infringing upon the direction they wanted to go with medicine and medical care. So all of the natural colleges got shut down. Most, if not all, got shut down. And we are now dealing with the fallout of that, where we have a culture of people that don't really understand how to take care of our bodies. And truly it all starts with the foundation of good nutrition. We're not going to talk about a lot of nutrition today. We can talk about that in other videos, but once you get that good foundation of proper nutrition, then what do you do if you get sick? What do you do if you want to fill your home with more natural products that don't harm your body and build your body up with things that can harm it? So that's where essential oils come in, and that our journey started about 10 years ago. Our family was just sick all the time, and we had decided back in, I think it was like 2012, 2013, that we were going to go all organic. And so we did, and that kind of began our journey of getting rid of the chemicals and the pesticides and the harmful things that can really tear down your immune system. So after about a year of doing the organic route, and we still do the organic, like we try to do all organic and raw as much as possible. But after going down that route, it had been about a year, and we still were getting sick pretty frequently. And I honestly don't even remember how I met my my friend who introduced me to essential oils, but it was at a very pivotal point in our lives because it was right before my dad was diagnosed with cancer. This was back in 2013-14 time period. And so 2013 hit and I met my friend. I honestly don't remember where it was. I'm gonna have to ask her how we met. But anyway, it was probably at some fair or something, like a marketplace type place. But she told me about essential oils, and it kind of went in one ear and out the other at that time. But then my daughter actually had just gotten out of the hospital with a UTI, and she was in the hospital for actually it was longer than that. It was probably 5 days. She was on 2 to 3 rounds of antibiotics, and it was a really scary time. She was only like, I don't know, 3, 4, something like that. She was little, and I felt powerless. And that was what was so scary to me, is I didn't know, I guess I'm just turning over my daughter to the people at the hospital. And she's my first daughter. I didn't have any other kids at the time. And that felt terrible to me. I hated it. So she had just gotten out of the hospital not long before, and she started having symptoms of another UTI. And I panicked. But this was right after I had met my friend, and she had told me about essential oils. So I desperately was digging around for her card. I found her card and I texted her and I said, my daughter seems to be coming down with a UTI. What would you suggest? And she said, I would suggest lemongrass. Right off the top of her head, she said that. And so I said, well, do you happen to have a bottle of it on hand? And she said, I sure do. And so she literally met me in the parking lot out in front of Natural Grocers where we were living at the time. And I gave her the money and she gave me the bottle of oil, and she said, just rub it on her belly and dilute it with with some sort of a carrier oil, like coconut oil or olive oil, avocado oil, something that's organic, hopefully, so that it doesn't bring in more chemicals, and give that a try, see what happens. And she said it only takes 1, maybe 2 drops, and you can do it every hour or so on your daughter. So I was like, okay. And honestly, I was grasping for straws, and I absolutely did not think it was going to work. But I had been to one of her classes, like I mentioned, and I had learned a little bit about essential oils, and I had started reading, Modern Essentials is like my essential oil Bible at this point. And they have this whole section. This is put out by, who's this put out by? Aroma Tools. It's put out by Aroma Tools. And it has in it a whole section all about the scientific parts of essential oils, okay? You can read about that. If you're a science geek, you can totally read about that. But I had been reading through it. And so I thought, okay, let's give it a try. So I got home. My daughter is in bed, she's having cramping, she's crying, and so I put it on her little belly. Almost immediately, she started calming down. I had done some other research and found out that D-mannose, which is basically the extract or the chemical that comes out of cranberries, right? Doctors always tell you to drink cranberry juice. Well, the problem with cranberry juice is that, number one, it typically, unless you're getting the kind with no sugar, that's just the raw kind, it has a lot of sugar, which can actually contribute to more infection. And so I didn't want that, and it's not as concentrate. So I combine the D-mannose, which you can just buy in a jar, and you just take it like you would take any liquid, with the lemongrass. And I did probably 3 or 4 topical treatments for her over the course of a day, 24 hours, and she was feeling relief. So that for me just totally convinced me of how awesome this was. And it gave me a sense of security knowing that I had an alternative to taking my kids to the doctors or the hospital if there was a terrible thing that had happened, or even something as simple as a UTI. So now, 15 years in, right? 10, 15 years. I now know, like, I have 3 daughters, I have 1 son, and they've all experienced symptoms of UTI, and this is my go-to now. We've never had to go back to the doctor. We've never had to take antibiotics for this. We've never had to go to the hospital, praise Yah. So he gave us that power. He gave us that tool to be able to do something. So, this is, if you ever join us for one of our live classes, we're planning on doing more classes online and doing them live so you guys can, ask questions and have your questions answered. But this is the modern approach where you have symptoms, and the symptoms are what are being treated typically. With antibacterials, obviously that's what they gave my daughter when she had the UTI. They are trying to treat the cause, but the problem is that antibacterials kill all bacteria, and the reality is our bodies are made of bacteria. We have bacteria all over, good and bad bacteria, and a lot of the good bacteria, all the good bacteria, actually sustains us. There's some sustenance there. It helps our gut stay balanced, and there's good to it. And so when you are going in and you're using an antibiotic, which is trying to treat the root cause, it's also causing other problems, that there are going to be other symptoms. How often have you taken an antibiotic and have also had to take like an what's that called? Like, it's like fluconase or something. I don't think that's what it's called, but an anti-yeast, anyway, so you don't get a yeast infection after you're taking this antibacterial. So, so often I remember going through that when I was younger without my children, where I'd get a UTI and you'd have to go in, take an antibiotic, and you'd take an anti-yeast medicine as well, because you don't want to get a yeast infection. So there was always a good side and a bad side to it. The thing with essential oils is they are treating the root cause. They're not just treating the symptoms, although they can also treat symptoms. And there's no downside. They're not going to harm you. That was the big thing, that, like, the aha moment for me is that I would say the majority, if not all, of the medicines that man has come up with, unfortunately, while they do seem to treat some of these issues, they cause so many more problems. It's an ongoing joke, right? It's like a meme where you see these ads for different medicines, and they end up like listing at the end of it all the things up and including death, right? Or whatever. They don't all say that. But it's insane that that is what I felt my only choice was, is subjecting me and my children to these things that could lead to death, or this new approach. So you have the modern approach, which is in the last 100 years, where you're mostly dealing with the symptoms, treating the symptoms, or you have the natural approach, where we're not just treating the symptoms, we're also treating the root cause, and it's not harming you. Now, yes, there are some times that people get like an allergic reaction. We're actually going to talk about that a little later. You get allergic reactions to essential oils. Maybe that's what you're saying in your head right now. I've tried essential oils, I get allergic reactions to them, or like a rash on your skin, or I get a headache because they're so strong, or they don't work, right? These are things that I remember thinking, and there's a reason for that. It's not like it didn't happen. It did happen, And I'll tell you why it happened here in just a little bit. So essential oils are very effective, and let me tell you, it's a three-pronged approach. They're effective, number one, because when was the last time a lot of us don't have gardens anymore, but if you have a garden and you have these plants that smell so good, a lot of times you'll go by and you'll rub them in your fingers, like lemon balm or peppermint or oregano or rosemary, and you can smell those beautiful scents. And those are the oil sacs that Yahovah put in his plants, and that is what contains so much of the healing properties of the plant. Now, since getting into essential oils, I've also begun to learn all about tonics and tinctures and infused oils, which also have their place. And we will hopefully talk about those different things more in other videos that we have on my channel. But as far as essential oils, that's what you're experiencing, is when you use a high quality essential oil that is unadulterated with any chemicals or having been diluted. What they've done is they've gone in, they've crushed those leaves, they've taken that precious oil and they've put it in a bottle. Okay? So the other very powerful thing about essential oils and why they are so unique in their structure is that they can cross the cell membrane barrier. One of the biggest challenges modern medicine has to treating really anything is that every one of our cells have a membrane around them that are supposed to be impermeable by outside things, because God made it so that our bodies could protect itself. It doesn't want foreign bodies getting into these cells and causing problems. Well, what the essential oils are able to do is, say, for cancer, for instance, and I'm not allowed to claim anything. I'll have a story later in this video talking about our experience with cancer. But cancer is one of those sticky cells that have these membranes that are very difficult to get through. And essential oils are able to penetrate that membrane and kill off the things that aren't good, and heal the things that need to be healed, and strengthen the things that need to be strengthened. God has given us such an amazingly powerful arsenal when it comes to treating our bodies, giving it what it needs when maybe it hasn't gotten what it needed and kind of gone awry. We get sick when we don't take care of what God's given us. So essential oils are a great way to continue bolstering our immune system, as well as treating things that have gone awry in our bodies, because of that, the ability for it to get through the cell membrane. And then lastly, just to give you an example of how powerful they are, why use essential oils versus, say, tinctures or tonics? And again, as I said, I believe there is a place for those, and we use them in our own home. Let's take a look at peppermint. Okay, so we've all had peppermint tea at some point or another, I'm assuming. But one drop of peppermint oil. Okay, and these guys, these big bottles have about 250 drops in them. One drop of oil is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So, so often we should integrate these healing properties into our bodies of, a regular tea, like green tea every day, or, I make a turmeric latte I do in the winter at least, every day. I love my turmeric latte. I know that it is, basically helping with inflammation in my body if I have any. Those are good things. You want to keep integrating them. But if you could kind of take a shortcut and just, stick a drop of peppermint under your tongue and get the same benefit as 25 cups of tea, would it be worth it? Yeah, I think it would. It would be worth it. Or one drop of turmeric. and it equating to 28 cups of turmeric tea, right? I have my turmeric and ginger tea up on my shelf. I'm not going to be drinking 28 cups of turmeric ginger tea every day, but I certainly could put a drop of turmeric and ginger under my tongue and have the benefits associated with them. And how easy would that be? Now, there is a caveat to that, and we're kind of continuing on. You don't want to put just any essential oil under your tongue, because that is not smart. There are a lot of different kinds of essential oils out there, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second, and it's going to address the whole issue as to why many of you may have had headaches or rashes, right? So we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk real quick about the kinds of oils that are out there, okay? If you see this little pie chart, but this pie chart it's showing the breakdown of essential oils in the industry, like what kind of essential oils, because we all know that we can go to the store and get essential oils. We can go to Walmart and, the natural food store nearby. The essential oils we've chosen to use are doTERRA oils. They were the first ones we were invited to, and I believe that was Yah inviting us to that and showing us that, because since then, I know that there are a lot of essential oil brands out there, and some of them may be very good, but I know that doTERRA is certified by third parties. It is therapeutic grade and used in hospitals around the Utah area, at least. They've allowed that. And so I feel confident that what I'm putting in and on my family's bodies is safe and effective. Let's talk about what the other kinds of oils are that are out there. So there are synthetic oils. You find those used in a lot of the candles on the market, or the what are those things called? The things with the wooden spikes coming out the top of them, like they scent the room. Anyway, those are essential oils. There are different essential oils out there. They definitely are not food grade, so you should not be putting them in your mouth. And as a matter of fact, most, if not all, of the synthetic oils, essential oils, are harmful to your body because they are not plant-based, God-made oils. They are not as a result of squeezing that peppermint leaf and getting oil. They are the result of man-made chemicals being put together to smell like it. And maybe they used, a cell or one molecule of the peppermint, the original peppermint, because man cannot make anything that God has not already made. But in general, the whole thing is synthetic, and it's going to cause problems for you and your body, even if you don't put it on your body. If you're inhaling that absolutely can cause headaches and skin issues. We're going to cut here for just a second and fix our lighting problem. Shalom, you guys. We are picking up where we left off yesterday. Unfortunately, I was not able to finish the video yesterday, so we're going to finish it today. And we have our light back on, and so hopefully this will go a little bit more smoothly. But getting right back to it, what I had just been talking about was, synthetic versus food, and then therapeutic grade. And synthetic is just no good, right? Food grade is stuff that the FDA has said can be ingested. And so, you might find, like cilantro or dill or some of the flavorings that you might use in food related projects. And they've said that's okay to use. And you can use it for ingesting and stuff. Now, when we go further, and this is what doTERRA has done, and there are some others that I think are trying to do the same thing, you go into like the therapeutic grade. And therapeutic grade are ones that you can take large amounts of, either internally or use it topically, and that it's not going to harm your body. It is a lot more pure. The name of the game in essential oils, if you don't know this already, is purity. And as a matter of fact, there were two leading companies, and I won't say the names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. You can do your own research on that. But there were two major essential oil companies. Actually, there was only one to begin with. And it began, well enough. And they had a great product that everybody wanted. And yet, they had kind of an internal conflict go on. Their chief scientist said, these oils are not pure enough for what we're wanting to do. And he really challenged them and said, we need to make these better. Well, this company didn't want to spend the time, which obviously equals money, doing that. And that's fine, everybody has a different niche as far as their market is concerned. So the chief scientist left and went and started his own company. And that's what doTERRA grew out of. And so doTERRA, the foundation of doTERRA was giving as pure a product as possible. And doTERRA has always been one to go out and not only do internal testing, but do third-party testing as well. And they will release and publish those findings on a regular basis, because it is so important to them to set themselves apart from the other products in the market. I just feel that I just praise the Lord that I was introduced to doTERRA at the beginning and learned about what I believe is the best in the market, and why it's the best in the market before I, tried a different product. And you guys, you get what you pay for. You really do. And there's a time and a place for everything except maybe the synthetic grade. You just stay away from synthetic grade. But, there's a time and place for all the others that are out there. And do your own research. There are a lot of brands that you can buy at just the general health food store, or some of the big box names that do your research on those. Find the third-party tests for their purity grades, and don't go into this with a lackadaisical attitude, because truly, you guys, we are replacing what we did as a family. We replaced our medicine cabinet, and this might get this video taken down, I'm not sure, but we replaced our medicine cabinet with natural solutions. I'll put it that way. And when you do that, you're diverting your money to something that you expect to work, right? There was, talking about vitamin and mineral supplements, and there was a huge hullabaloo, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'm not positive, it might have been longer ago than that, but where there was a third-party test done on a lot of these major brands. Come to find out, there was dirt and weeds in them. Nothing what they were advertising was in them, and they were some major product lines. I'm not going to say any names again, but the St. John's wort and echinacea, vitamin C, these were some of the products people thought they were buying, and they were buying dirt and weeds. So do your research. And as a matter of fact, this is just a fun sidebar. Many of these vitamins and minerals that you're buying are actually the main brands that you would buy at the grocery store. Excuse me, I'm still getting over something. The main things are put out by companies that you may or may not trust. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. But track that down. Track it down. Be an informed consumer, because if you're not, and the products don't work, it's nobody's fault but your own. Take control of your own health and your own future, honestly, because who wants to spend time and money doing things that doesn't work and you don't know why? Don't blame necessarily the fact that, oh, well, the vitamin C isn't working, or the turmeric oil isn't working, or I'm rashing out at the turmeric oil, or I'm getting headaches with the turmeric oil, or whatever the case may be. Don't let that stop you, because if you're dealing with therapeutic grade, and doTERRA has upped the ante even more. It's not just therapeutic, it's CPTG, certified pure therapeutic grade. And so, that's the third-party testing, I believe, is where that comes in, the certified pure. But make sure that what you're using is worthy of all your time and effort. because otherwise, if it doesn't work, it's a waste. It's a total waste of time and money. So we don't want to do that. So I won't belabor that point any longer. So doTERRA is just a very, I didn't mean for this video to turn into like, you know, an advertisement for doTERRA, because that's not what I'm doing. What I really want is, I want to encourage you guys to take control. My purpose is for you to take control of your health.